What if you could learn 5 times faster than you are right now? How would that affect your ability to reach your goals, to truly build a life that you want to live? How would that impact you? Because that's what I'm gonna cover in this video. I have always been great at learning, but it was only until recent years that I knew why I was good at it. And no, it's not luck, it's not genetics. There are a few things that I always naturally did that helped me learn tremendously faster than any of the people around me. And I'm gonna share with you what those 3 things are. So if you want to learn faster, think about who are the fastest learners, who can gather knowledge and intelligence the fastest. It is of course lizard people, right? That's why Zuckerberg is such a smart person. Well, no, of course not. It is children. Children learn incredibly fast, and they do so because of one main reason. And that reason is my superpower. It is curious. There you go, curiosity. And not just any curiosity. If you want to learn fast, adopt childlike curiosity. So, what does childlike curiosity mean? Simple. Can you remember a time in your life when you were a little kid? Maybe you were running around in the backyard and you're like, oh my god, what is that thing over there with those wings? And maybe you saw a butterfly. You wondered, like, what is it? How does it fly? Right? Curiosity. You were looking at the grass for that one particular sprout that was different. And maybe there was a lucky clover for, or something like that. Maybe it was just a weed and you, like, burnt your hands off of something that you shouldn't have touched. But that's what it's like to be a child. You are naturally curious, and that is a superpower to learning. That is something that is innate to most children. However, a lot of people lose that when they get older. Imagine that mindset of childlike curiosity versus how we are usually in high school and in college, and sometimes even at work. We're sitting there, I'm so bored, this is stupid, instead of, that's interesting. I wonder how this concept works. And the reason I've been able to learn so rapidly is because whenever I encounter something that I don't understand, I'm like, that's interesting. And I go to Google, I go to YouTube, I look it up. Whenever there's a word I don't understand, I go to the dictionary online and I'm like, so that's what it means. I literally, every time when I encounter something that is unfamiliar or something that challenges what I currently believe, where I'm like, that can't be right, I dive into it rather than running away from it. So literally, studies have been done. If you're sitting like this, for example, and by the way, check your body language as you are listening to this video or watching. If you're sitting with your arms crossed, or maybe even your legs crossed like that, you take in way fewer information than if you are sitting with open body language. And by the way, if you want to improve your body language and your energy, there's a video on the top right corner that you can watch as well that's going to help you with that. But for now, let's dive into the second part that makes up this superpower of learning and what you can implement in your own life as well. And that is the best learning is project based. So what does it mean when I say project based? For example, when I wanted to learn marketing, I could read books, I could watch YouTube videos, and I did all of those things. But more importantly is that I started my own website. I started like, let me try this thing out in the real world. And then, of course, I failed utterly. Yay! Failure, right? Failure is your biggest teacher. In school, you get the material and then you're tested on it afterwards. In life, you are tested first and then hopefully you learn the lesson. Either that or you repeat the same grade. So if you experience that you've been like having the same negative experiences over and over and over again, that is life testing you. And you just flunked time and time again. So for example, if you want to be a graphic designer, start designing things until your lack of skill hits you in the face like a brick wall. When there is one particular problem that you cannot solve, now is the time to go to YouTube. Now is the time to go to Google and say, you know, how do I solve this? How do I do X, Y, and Z? But it is project based. You will always learn more by doing than you will by watching something or reading a book or listening to an audio. Always. And that brings me to this thing. The third element of learning, and this is gonna be a pyramid scheme. So at the top here, this top right here is roughly 5% of retention. And that is listening. So if you're only listening to the audio, you're gonna retain about 5%. That's it. That's very little. A layer above that, or below, depending on how you look at it, about 10%. This is reading. So when you read a book, for example, you will retain more than if you listen to someone just read it for you. That's why if you're doing audiobooks, for example, it would be nice to listen to the entire thing 2, 3, 4, 5 times. The same book. Why? Because that's what it takes for the lessons to truly sink in. Because otherwise you're not gonna fully remember it. Now, the third layer here, and this is about 15 to 20% retention. And that is when you combine these two. When you both read something and you listen to it, or you watch it. Then at about roughly 35%, you have a demonstration or a visual appeal. So for this, imagine that I did this video without the whiteboard, without coloring this for you. It would be a completely different video, a completely different learning experience. And this helps you remember it. Because if I just gave you the words, so 5% of what you hear, you're gonna retain. If you read it, you're gonna retain 10%. If you do both, it's gonna be 15%. Right? It's a completely different learning experience because now you also have the visuals over here. So the next layer here is roughly 50% retention. And what this level is discussion. So when you come together with a group of peers, a group of friends, and you discuss important topics that you're learning about, you will do way better than just listening to something, reading about it, or even just doing both. Even if it's visual, it's not gonna top that discussion because you can test your ideas and you get different angles for input. So that's why discussion, that's why finding like-minded people and connecting with those is so crucial for your growth as a person, as well as for your learning. By the way, if this video so far is resonating with you, give it a quick thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Truly appreciate that. Now for the last two levels. These are gonna be at roughly 75% and then about 90%. This level over here is what I described in my second point. This is learning by doing. So when you actually take action and you do it, now you are learning way more than with all of these above. However, there's one hidden benefit as well, which is you get to carve out your learning path more specifically. Because when you do something, certain things are gonna click immediately. Other things, not so much. So when you start doing things, when you start doing that project-based learning and you encounter a problem, now you can look for the specific solution. Now you can basically ignore the videos and the books and the content on the things that you naturally already click, and you can focus more on the things that don't seem as self-evident for you. And so you can be more specific because you're taking action. And now if you want to go with a discussion, for example, or you want to have a mentor to talk with, now you can ask specific questions that will help you grow way faster. And again, during all of this, keep that open mind and that childlike curiosity, because that is the accelerator to all of this. So, final level, you might be thinking, Michael, if doing is so great, if you should be creating your projects for learning skills, then what could possibly be here at the 90% mark? And the answer is teaching. So then you might be wondering, why is teaching the most effective way of actually learning? And the answer is this. Let's say you were to reteach the content I've taught in this video so far. What you would first need to do is you would need to listen to the video, to watch it, to get the elements, to see the visualization. And then you have to take my words, internalize them, and now in order to teach it, you have to make it simple. You have to say it in a way where it makes sense to you. You have to truly understand something in order to explain it simply. So if you would use the exact same words that I would use, that is not actually learning very much, because it's not just clicking. When you can articulate ideas, concepts in your own words, that means you took in the information, you took it to you, you processed it, you understood the concepts, and now because you do those things, you can articulate it. And all of these things need to happen inside of your own mind in order to be able to teach something simply. So if you want to get started with learning way faster, here's my recommendation to get started. Number one, whatever it is, get started today. Project based. Go and do something that you want to do, right? Don't just read about doing push-ups, because you're never gonna get in shape like that. You only get the results that you work for. So that's the first thing. Second thing, start doing. Just skip to this step, and then once you get stuck on something, go and discuss it with people around you. Go find a mentor to discuss it with. Go watch a video. Go and read a book. Go and listen to an audio, a podcast, a video. Do these things and then go back to doing. So it's a cycle of taking action, getting stuck, failing, seeing through content what is going wrong here, and then moving forward. At the same time, my recommendation would be to follow. Just take out your phone or a webcam, set it up, and then whenever you learn something new, go ahead, pretend you're a teacher, and create a video. Just like this, for example, for yourself. You don't need to put it on the internet, you don't need to show to anyone else. However, the mere fact that you are taking your thoughts and you're verbalizing them, that alone helps you learn 10 times faster. And I can tell you that because I've been creating videos for a long time. And the first times I tried this, even with ideas that I understood, it was terrible. Right, my first videos were absolute fucking garbage. I could never stand in front of a camera like this, talk for a couple of minutes straight without messing up completely. I would do maybe one sentence and then I would stutter, I would lose track of my words, and that was a sign that at some level I, on one hand, didn't have the skills of public speaking, but on the other hand, I didn't yet have the knowledge to truly simplify my ideas. Does that make sense? So do stuff, then get feedback on what you're doing, learn, read, watch, and at the same time go and teach it to someone else. Maybe you have a little brother that wants to get into fitness with you after you've been doing it for 6 months. Teach your little brother, right? Maybe you are pretty decent, but not an expert yet at graphic design. Teach it to a novice. Whatever you do, whether you want to share it on YouTube, whether you want to keep it absolutely private and just teach yourself. And if you do these things, you will be one of the quickest learners on this planet. So remember, childlike curiosity, hit the like button, subscribe to a channel, start your own project, and then as you go through it, ask for feedback and teach it either to yourself or to people around you, or even just strangers on the internet. If you do that, you will be golden in terms of your skill development. Michael, signing out.